Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Sergeant of Arms.
Mr. Speaker, may I present Lieutenant Governor Drew Wrigley and the Escort Committee?
Let the committee be received. I am pleased to introduce the Honorable Drew Wrigley, Lieutenant Governor, who will preside over the joint session. Mr. President.
The joint session will come to order. Representative Vigasaw.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that a committee of 4 be appointed to escort the Honorable Jack Dalrymple, Governor, to the rostrum, and First Lady Betsy Dalrymple to a special reserve seat in the chamber, and that the Governor Dalrymple's remarks, as submitted to the front desk, be printed in the journal.
Is there a second? Second. Question is on the motion of Representative Vigasaw that the committee of 4 be appointed to escort the Honorable Jack Dalrymple, Governor, to the rostrum, and First Lady Betsy Dalrymple to the special reserve seat, and that the Governor's remarks be printed in the journal. As many as are in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. The President appoints Senators Wardner and Gary Lee and Representatives Carlson and Silvernagle to the Escort Committee. Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
Mr. President, may I present the Honorable Jack Dalrymple, Governor of the great state of North Dakota, and First Lady Betsy Dalrymple and the Escort Committee.
Let the committee be received.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good to see you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back in the House chamber. I'm pleased to be here today to present our executive budget for the 2015-17 biennium. Before I begin, I'd like to recognize and welcome members of the 64th Legislative Assembly. Lieutenant Governor Drew Wrigley, First Lady Betsy, Justices of the Supreme Court, elected officials, cabinet members, state employees, and my fellow North Dakotans. I also want to thank our dedicated staff in the Office of Management and Budget, our state agencies, and the Governor's Office for their hard work and thoughtful approach in developing this budget. Working together, we have produced a structurally balanced budget that is appropriate for this remarkable time in our state's history, a time of tremendous growth and prosperity. North Dakota can take pride in its progress. After decades of outmigration and decline, our population is growing, and our economy is the envy of the nation. Since 2000, we have created more than 116,000 new jobs. We have the nation's fastest growing economy, the nation's strongest growth in per capita income, and the lowest unemployment rate in the nation at just 2.1%. Yeah, pretty good. With this budget, we are taking advantage of North Dakota's success and strong financial position to advance three important objectives that have served us well. We will continue to make sound investments in our priorities, especially infrastructure. We will provide additional tax relief for the hardworking people of North Dakota, and we will maintain healthy reserves for future needs. The budget plan is ambitious, but we have once again taken great care to make sure we have developed a budget that is balanced and sustainable. We must always be cautious of overexpansion, a looming threat anytime revenues are strong. With those overriding objectives in mind, I'm pleased to present the 2015-17 executive budget. Due to our strong economy, both our ongoing revenues and reserves have shown considerable gains since the beginning of the current biennium. And based on the state forecast, we expect revenues to remain strong in the next two-year budget cycle. In developing this budget, we have been careful to ensure that our ongoing revenues continue to exceed ongoing expenditures, as shown in Chart 1. In the 2015-17 biennium, our general fund ongoing revenues will total $5.37 billion, and ongoing expenditures will total $5 billion. Our budget recommendations represent an increase of 5.4% in general fund appropriations compared to the current biennium. The vast majority of this increase in general fund appropriations is necessary to address the growing demand for state resources and essential services. With this funding, we will increase our law enforcement presence. We will further enhance our environmental protections, and we will make other investments to meet the challenges that come with dynamic growth and progress. It is important to remember that our ongoing general fund spending is limited to $300 million in oil and gas tax revenues as prescribed by state law. The remainder of oil tax revenues, as illustrated in Chart 2, is dedicated to a number of special purposes as required by the Constitution and state statute. Our constitutional funds include the Legacy Fund, the Resources Trust Fund, and 2 school trust funds. Statutory funds include the Strategic Investment and Improvements Fund, the Property Tax Relief Fund, the Disaster Fund, the Outdoor Heritage Fund, and others. Political subdivisions and tribes also receive oil revenues directly. As you can see, the general fund allocation, not including transfers, makes up only 3.6% of total oil and gas tax revenues. Because the general fund receives such a small portion of oil revenues, it is not heavily impacted by oil volatility. Our strong revenues allow us to continue making significant one-time investments that do not add to the state's ongoing obligations. We are proposing in the 2015-17 biennium $2.2 billion in one-time general fund expenditures. With these one-time investments, we can do great things, like making supplemental funding immediately available so that the state's oil and gas region can begin projects at the onset of the 2015 construction season. We can invest in statewide infrastructure, including roads and water projects. And we can improve our state park system. We can increase our support for affordable housing and help build schools to meet the rapid growth in student enrollments. And we can help our colleges and universities catch up on deferred maintenance. Remember, these investments do not need to be repeated in the future if our economy should take an unexpected turn. As always, we have exercised sound fiscal management. Our budget neither bonds nor borrows, and it imposes no new taxes or fees. To meet our budget objectives during the 2015-17 biennium, we will also be putting the state's available reserve funds to good use, as shown in Chart 3. Still, these reserve funds will continue to receive revenues during the two-year budget cycle, and they will maintain healthy balances on June 2017. This chart shows that our ending general fund balance on June 30th, 2017 will be $97 million, and the SIF fund will total $1.2 billion. During the upcoming biennium, we will utilize the SIF fund to expand our school construction loan program and provide jump start funding for our oil and gas region. We'll also put the property tax relief fund to work as part of a larger tax relief plan. Our other reserve funds are less accessible, like the Budget Stabilization Fund, which will total $686 million in 2017, and the Foundation Aid Stabilization Fund, which will reach $1 billion. These funds can only be accessed if the state runs short of funding it needs for essential services. The Legacy Fund will hold $3.5 billion on June 30th, 2015, and will grow to about $6 billion by the biennium's end. The Legacy Fund, created by the people of North Dakota through an initiated constitutional amendment, is not available until 2017. As you can see, North Dakota is financially strong, and with continued sound fiscal management, will remain financially strong for many years to come. After accounting for our ongoing and one-time expenditures and with our revenues secured, North Dakota still has the financial resources to provide additional tax relief for the citizens of North Dakota, as shown on Chart 4. In the last biennium, we reduced property taxes by increasing the state's share of school funding and permanently reducing the amount to be paid by the local taxpayer year after year. This is true property tax relief, and not just a state payment of property taxes on behalf of the local property owners. In this budget proposal, we are recommending that the state also assume a larger share of the cost of county social services and thereby relieve property owners of still more of their local tax burden. As a first step, we recommend the state begin covering in January 2016 what is now the county's share of child welfare programs, the SPED program, and emergency human service costs. This will result in a mill levy reduction for local taxpayers totaling $23 million in savings. We are further recommending that the state assume still more of the cost of county social services in the 2017-19 biennium after developing a system to reimburse costs on a caseload basis. This reimbursement system requires careful study, and it requires fully operational eligibility and Medicaid software packages. That means full implementation cannot be achieved until the 2017-19 biennium. The result, in the end, will be more equitable, more efficient, and more accountable funding of social services throughout the state. County employees would continue to deliver the county-based services. In the meantime, this budget continues for one more biennium the 12% county tax buy-down, which was implemented last session, at a projected cost of $250 million for the biennium. This form of property tax relief is appropriate for the time being until permanent tax relief can be achieved by the state taking over most, if not all, of the cost of county social services. That assumption of costs would virtually eliminate the 20 mil tax levy allowed under our current law. We also propose expanding the homestead tax credit to make more people eligible by raising the maximum income threshold from $42,000 a year to $50,000. This will further reduce property taxes for seniors wishing to stay in their homes. Property tax relief is a top priority, but we can and should do more. We also propose $100 million in individual income tax relief on top of the reductions provided in the two previous legislative sessions. Altogether, this will reduce income tax rates by nearly 50% from the rates paid before 2009. With this income tax reduction, North Dakota's top rate will be 2.9%, the lowest in state history and the lowest in the nation among states that have a broad-based income tax. Finally, we are recommending that we provide an additional $25 million in corporate income tax relief to attract and retain job creators. North Dakota is becoming known as one of the lowest tax states in the country. Our record of tax reductions in the last few years will lead to even more investment in our state in the upcoming years. With these additional tax reductions and other tax relief provided since 2009, we will have reduced state taxes by $4.3 billion. During the interim, a task force has been working on an important final step in the process of improving our overall system of property taxation. We call it property tax reform. The task force has included the chairman of the House and Senate tax committees, representatives of the various political subdivisions involved, as well as representatives of business and property owners in general. They have produced a piece of legislation that will come before you for consideration. It includes further efforts to reduce the burden on local property taxpayers. I believe it provides more spending discipline, greater simplicity, better opportunity for comparisons, and makes it easier for the taxpayers to understand the uses of their tax dollars. Tax relief is the end result of building a strong state economy. But economic growth cannot be sustained without strategic investments in infrastructure. With this budget, we again address infrastructure needs in every region of the state. During the 2015-17 biennium, the state will invest $3 billion statewide in infrastructure projects alone, including highways, roads, streets, affordable housing, airports, water supply systems, and critical flood control projects. City leaders have asked for an additional tool to help finance public infrastructure projects. To that end, we are proposing a transfer of $100 million in Bank of North Dakota profits to the Public Finance Agency to create a revolving loan fund for essential public infrastructure projects throughout the state. The loan fund will provide political subdivisions with below-market loan rates and will be a good use of the bank's strong earnings. Our infrastructure investments will take place statewide, but we know there are extraordinary needs in western North Dakota. While jobs and population growth have brought great benefits to our western counties, we know that the pace of growth is not slowing down. In fact, as more people become permanent residents of western North Dakota, the demand for housing, streets, and utilities is accelerating. This fall, representatives from my office and the Department of Commerce met with the leaders of the major oil-producing counties and the mayors and city managers of our largest western cities. We asked them to identify their infrastructure needs for the coming biennium, as well as their longer-term needs for the two following bienniums. We then compared those needs with potential revenues from the oil production tax under a range of possible percentages. After a careful analysis of both county and city needs, we have concluded that after counties receive $5 million from 100% of the oil production tax, they should receive, for at least the 2015-17 biennium, 60% of the revenue from the oil production tax. With a funding formula adjustment, the gross oil production tax will generate $1.7 billion for our oil counties and their political subdivisions, $1 billion more than what the region will receive from this funding source in the current biennium. Our analysis also indicates that the infrastructure needs of western counties and cities will crest in the upcoming biennium. And by 2018, the demands for new infrastructure will begin to gradually level off. I will ask the legislature to discuss plans for an appropriate phase down in the revenue percentage as the region's extraordinary needs taper off. Our support for the state's oil production region goes even further than this major change we are proposing in the oil production tax formula. We also recommend $873 million in upfront supplemental funding to jumpstart the 2015 construction season. This plan provides one-time funding to Dickinson, Williston, Watford City, and Minot, as well as funds for other cities in the 10 largest oil-producing counties. It also includes special one-time road funding for the non-oil counties throughout the state. We also recommend continuing the Energy Impact Grant Program with $119 million in new grant funding to address the impacts of rapid growth in our oil production region. The grant program will provide $50 million for airport expansions, $25 million for local law enforcement, $4 million for colleges, $30 million for school renovations and improvements based on their own share of oil tax revenues, and $10 million for impacts on cities in the region's 7 remaining oil counties. In addition, $300 million will be made available from the SIF fund for school construction loans with favorable terms for any rapidly growing school district statewide. Not including these loan funds for school construction, we will invest in western North Dakota during the next biennium $3.7 billion. We need to continue the great progress we have made in developing affordable housing over the last 4 years. The state has leveraged $90 million in tax credits and incentive funds to support the construction of more than 2,500 affordable housing units throughout North Dakota. This budget recommends increasing the state's support for the Housing Incentive Fund from $35 million to a total of $50 million, including $30 million in state income tax credits for citizens and businesses that invest in the fund. Developers can access this source of funds in exchange for reduced rents for low and moderate income residents. We also propose investing $20 million directly in the Housing Incentive Fund to accelerate the availability of funds. We also recommend providing an additional $12 million in flex PACE buy-down funds for the development of about $125 million in private housing. In the current biennium, the Bank of North Dakota has approved 21 affordable housing projects through the Flex PACE loan program. Our ongoing commitments to improving the state's infrastructure includes meeting critical needs for quality water supplies and flood control projects. Working together, we have made great strides to rebuild following major flood events, but we must continue working together to achieve permanent flood protection. During the last biennium, the state approved $61 million toward permanent flood protection in the Souris Basin, including planning, design, engineering, and home acquisitions. We now recommend an additional $110 million to help bring the people of Minot and surrounding areas the flood protection they need. For flood protection in the Fargo area, current state law calls for an additional $69 million this biennium, while Fargo area officials work toward a permanent solution to Red River flooding. The state has already provided $175 million for Fargo area flood protection and is committed to contributing a total of $450 million towards a permanent flood protection project. Thus far, all funds have been spent on levee improvements around Fargo and other communities. Additional funds for the upcoming biennium may be warranted if projects move forward more quickly. We also support funding the continuing operations of the Devil's Lake water outlets and to help other flood control projects like those in Grafton, Williston, and on the Cheyenne River. While we advance important flood protection projects, the state also remains committed to providing communities with quality water supplies. Since 2011, the state has provided nearly $230 million to the Western Area Water Supply Project. Moving forward, we will support $120 million for the system's further development to carry fresh water to more rural areas and communities in western North Dakota. During the 2015-17 biennium, we recommend investing nearly $600 million solely in rural and municipal water supply projects. In addition to WAS, our budget includes $100 million for the Southwest Pipeline Project and $18 million for the Northwest Area water supply. We also support the efforts of the Valley Prosperity Partnership to ensure water security for the Red River Valley. To that end, we recommend $150 million for the Red River Water Supply Project. We would also support a state commitment of more than $100 million in grants and loans to a Grand Forks water treatment plant that will make possible more economic growth in northeast North Dakota. As our state grows in both population and economic activity, we are committed to keeping North Dakota one of the safest states in America. Our budget commits $90 million in the area of law enforcement alone. The budget includes $27.5 million to complete the new law enforcement training academy and 4 additional highway patrol troopers in western North Dakota. With these 4 positions, we will expand the highway patrol with 25 additional troopers in just the last 3 years. For local law enforcement officers in western North Dakota, our budget includes $20 million in law enforcement grant funds to help equip, train, and staff police departments and sheriff offices in oil country. We also support the Attorney General's request to add 19 additional staff within the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. These additional BCI positions include 9 criminal investigators, 3 intelligence analysts, a forensic scientist, and a victim advocate. With the assistance of the FBI, we are letting drug dealers and human traffickers know that North Dakota is the wrong place to do business. For emergency services, our budget includes $8 million for enhanced state radio communications and emergency response equipment. Our commitment to public safety includes funding for an additional 13 parole and probation officers and other staff within the Department of Corrections. We also recommend $30 million to build a new minimum security correctional center. Flood damage, mold, and ongoing maintenance concerns necessitate that we replace the existing Missouri River Correctional Center with a new facility just to the northeast and on higher ground. Our judicial system is also adjusting to the state's dynamic growth. The North Dakota Supreme Court needs more space, and we recommend its relocation to the Liberty Memorial Building, which will be remodeled and expanded. By relocating the Supreme Court, we can utilize its existing space in the Capitol for other state agencies that also need more room. The remarkable amount of new commerce in our state requires that we also continue to strengthen our health and environmental protections, as well as our oversight of North Dakota's oil and gas drilling activities. For that purpose, we are recommending 19 new positions in our Department of Health for greater protections against environmental hazards and public health threats. We also recommend funding 22 additional positions within the Oil and Gas Division. These positions include petroleum engineers and field inspectors to further ensure that environmental regulations are followed. This past year, we witnessed the aftermath of a train derailment that resulted in the explosion of 19 tank cars. We also saw the results of an oil pipeline spill, one of the largest spills in history. For that reason, we are recommending the request of the Public Service Commission for 8 positions to monitor rail safety and pipeline integrity. Now that we are the nation's second largest oil-producing state, we must create our own focus on rail and pipeline safety, beyond what is provided by the Federal Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Finally, we also support legislation that would give the Department of Health access to a state reclamation fund to remediate saltwater spills and other environmental impacts. In all, our budget recommends funding for 247 additional employees, excluding higher education, to help us meet the needs of our growing state. Of these positions, 50 are for law enforcement, and another 87 are dedicated to public safety, public health, the judicial system, and environmental oversight. Now I would like to review our strategies for enhancing education, beginning with early childhood education. The value of early childhood education is becoming more appreciated every day. 4-year-olds are capable of a great deal of learning, and their gains have been proven to have lasting value. I believe that the time has come to support a proposal that would be brought before the legislature to place funds behind every 4-year-old child in North Dakota wishing to enter a certified pre-K program, whether it is offered in a public school, a private school, or a classroom organized by a nonprofit organization. For every 4-year-old child enrolled in an early childhood education program, the state would offer grant support of $1,000 per student for a minimum number of hours per week. I have included $6 million in my budget to support grants for community-approved programs that require local coordination. Our K-12 funding proposal includes a 3% increase in the state's per student payments in each year of the 2015-17 biennium. This funding enhancement, combined with the added cost of higher student enrollments, is an increased commitment of $104 million over current biennium spending. We also propose expanding the state's rapid enrollment grant program to make more schools eligible for this funding. Our budget includes $14.8 million for these grants and a 2-tier system to expand eligibility. As I mentioned earlier, our budget also includes adding $300 million to the school construction revolving loan program. Our budget recommendation for higher education focuses on students, with significant increases to our scholarship programs, a freeze in tuition at our 2-year colleges, financial assistance for students who pursue occupations in high-demand fields, and system-wide security enhancements. In all, our budget includes $50 million in student financial assistance programs. We recommend increasing North Dakota's merit-based scholarship program to a level of $10,000 per student, rather than today's limit of $6,000. We also recommend a 4% funding increase in needs-based scholarships in each year of the biennium. Our needs-based scholarships help reduce the cost of higher education for about 7,200 students each year, and we expect to award about 1,400 new merit-based scholarships each year of the biennium. Our budget also includes $7.6 million in tuition buy-down and student loan forgiveness for students who pursue and obtain jobs in high-demand fields. Looking at the big picture, we include a $114 million increase in the main formula payments for funding our university system's 11 institutions, a 6.4% increase in the number of student credit hours accounts for a major portion of this funding increase. It's good to see that our colleges and universities are increasing the amount of education they deliver. We also recommend $145 million for capital projects, which, as a group, actually eliminate $42 million in deferred maintenance. We recommend $62 million to complete the UND School of Medicine, $26 million to demolish 2 unusable buildings at Valley City State, and construct a new fine arts center, and $16 million to rebuild an airport apron for the University of North Dakota School of Aviation. We also support other capital projects at Valley City State, Dakota College Bottineau, and the State College of Science. Agriculture is the backbone of North Dakota. And one of the best ways we can support our farmers and ranchers is through research. We recommend the investments totaling $23 million to advance important plant and animal research at NDSU's research centers. This investment includes, for example, $800,000 and 2 additional positions at NDSU to support bioinformatics research at the main center. They will utilize sophisticated computer programs and analyze extremely large data sets to identify genetic codes responsible for desired traits in plants. Our budget also includes $18 million to construct a veterinary diagnostic lab on the NDSU campus, as well as capital improvements at other research centers. Our farmers and ranchers lead the nation in the production of many crops, and their success is rooted in the important research that keeps their operations productive and competitive in the world market. For more than a decade, we have focused our economic development efforts on creating jobs and growing our targeted industries. Now we must take that mission to the next level by focusing on building a workforce for the future and capitalizing on emerging industries and innovations. We are increasing our investment in workforce development initiatives and recommend nearly $26 million in workforce grants and programs across several of our state agencies. Our recommendations include $6 million for workforce development grants to tribal community colleges, $5 million to the North Dakota State College of Science to expand its workforce training program in Fargo, and to develop a long-range plan for career and technical education in Cass County. $1.5 million for workforce enhancement grants to our 2-year colleges, and a $2 million one-time grant to the North Dakota Safety Council for construction of a new training facility to enhance workplace safety. The budget also includes $4.2 million for operating the unmanned aerial system airspace integration test site. Of that amount, $1.2 million will be used as business incentive match to advance private sector UAS business development. In addition, we are including $5 million to support the Grand Sky Business Park at the Grand Forks Air Force Base. To support working parents, we are recommending $3 million in grants for new or expanded child care facilities. We also recommend additional funding for the Train ND program and for our new workforce recruitment program. Attracting and retaining a great workforce requires that we pay close attention to enhancing our quality of life. That includes the opportunity to enjoy our great outdoors. 2 years ago, we proposed the creation of a conservation grant fund designed to increase the opportunity for great outdoor experiences in our state. The legislature came through with the Outdoor Heritage Fund with a potential funding level of $30 million. This budget recommends that the Outdoor Heritage Fund be increased to $50 million for the biennium, and the formula be revised to ensure that the targeted funding level is achieved. The advisory committee is doing an excellent job, and interest in the grant program is growing. We can show everyone that preserving the outdoors is a top priority in North Dakota without a constitutional mandate. Our budget also recommends several major enhancements to our state park system. These are one-time investments that will provide more outdoor recreation for our citizens for years to come. Our budget includes $10 million for the development of a 200-acre day park along the Missouri River in South Bismarck. This is existing state land and can provide wonderful public access to the Missouri River. Our recommendation also includes major upgrades to Lake Sakakawea State Park at Pick City and 9 other state parks across the state, totaling $30 million in new park investments. Our quality of life should not be compromised by growth and development. These investments represent a major new commitment of $80 million to enhancing our outdoor recreational opportunities and to statewide conservation. As we continue to make sound investments in our priorities, our most important responsibility will always be caring for our people. Our budget provides for the needs of our seniors, our veterans, and our most vulnerable citizens. We are recommending an increase of $6.6 million to expand behavioral health services across the state. The increase will fund a mobile, on-call crisis service to connect clients with the mental health services they need for recovery. With this funding, we will also enhance local health services for the treatment of mental illness and chemical dependency, provide employment support services for those with severe mental illness or traumatic brain injury, and we will fund an expansion to the student loan forgiveness program designed to attract and retain mental health professionals. Home and community-based services are essential for helping people remain in their homes and communities. Therefore, we are recommending an increase of $6.2 million to expand these resources, including the enhancement of protective services for vulnerable adults. It also includes an increase of $3 million to expand services for those with autism and to increase the eligibility age for autistic children in the Medicaid waiver. It is important that we continue to help all of our human service providers address rising costs and to maintain a high standard of care. That is why we are recommending a 4% inflationary increase for each year of the biennium to nursing homes, senior meal programs, healthcare providers, and those serving people with developmental disabilities and mental illness. For our veterans and our men and women in uniform, our deepest gratitude is not enough. We must also show them the appreciation in tangible ways. Our budget maintains full funding for the Veterans Bonus Program, including bonus pay for overseas and domestic deployments, the tuition waiver program, performance increase of 3% each year, and those employees exceeding performance standards are eligible for an increase of up to 5%. In addition, employees whose current compensation is below market rate are eligible to receive an additional increase between 1 and 2%, depending on their position in the salary range. The general fund cost of this salary package is $52 million. The compensation package continues full health insurance for state employees and their families, and recommends an increase in contributions to the retirement system of 2% the first year of the biennium, with the cost evenly split between employees and the state. This final adjustment will put our outstanding defined benefits pension plan on a path to complete actuarial soundness. We have also funded the same salary increase and pension contribution with full health insurance for employees of the university system. The men and women who serve in our agencies and institutions of higher learning are hard-working North Dakotans, and we appreciate their dedication. As North Dakotans, we have been richly blessed, and because of our state's success and strong financial position, we are able to invest in our people and other priorities while also providing greater tax relief. This budget represents a vision for our state, a vision of growth, of opportunity for all our people, and a vision of an enhanced quality of life that is second to none. It includes outstanding educational opportunities, exciting career choices, thriving communities, and legendary outdoor recreation. I am looking forward to working with all of you and the people of North Dakota to capitalize on our success and create our future together. Thank you. May God bless you as you undertake this important work for the people of North Dakota.